"Grandma," I said, "recently in the underworld, they've reformed the currency for gold paper offerings. Now, it's become real coins." Grandma appeared in a dream and told us to burn a lot of gold paper for her so she could bribe the ghostly servants to protect the whole family. The eldest uncle burned 3,000 and he won 30 million. The second uncle burned 5,000 and the next night, my cousin received a job offer. The youngest aunt gritted her teeth and burned a whole 10,000. Shortly after, they announced that their house would be cleared for compensation. The whole family stayed up all night to burn gold paper. My mother wanted to burn some too, but I stopped her. My uncles mocked me, calling me foolish. I wasn't foolish. I just didn't believe that a person who died in bitterness like Grandma could bless those who had killed her. Grandma had passed away. The eldest uncle suggested holding a grand funeral. The second uncle chose the best burial plot for her. The youngest aunt hired the best band in the village. The funeral was held with great pomp, and everyone in the village praised Grandma for her good fortune. Although my mother wasn't much to speak of, at least she had 3 filial children who were sensible. So Grandma left this world in honor. Everyone said, "Grandma will protect the eldest uncle." The second uncle and the youngest aunt hoped for success, peace, and good fortune. The next day, news spread throughout the village that the eldest uncle had won 30,000 at the village's lottery agency. People said, "It's because he's so filial. Grandma's blessings have brought him luck." The second uncle originally planned to leave for the city that day, but suddenly changed his mind. He went to Grandma's grave, burned gold paper for an entire day, and then returned to the village, deciding not to leave anymore. The youngest aunt found it strange, so she secretly asked someone to inquire. Only then did I find out that my cousin, who had been trying to pass the graduate school entrance exam for 3 years without success, finally received an acceptance notice right after the day Uncle Tu burned the offerings. Aunt Ut was so jealous that her eyes almost shot fire. That evening, Aunt Ut's husband, who had always criticized his wife's family as poor country folks, drove a small truck over. The truck bed was loaded with stacks of paper offerings. My mom said the amount of offerings cost more than 10,000 dong. Less than 2 days later, news from the city came. The old dilapidated house of Aunt Ut's family, which had been waiting for demolition for 4 years with no progress, was suddenly plastered with a large demolition sign by the ward committee. The old house was torn down, and overnight, they struck it rich. When they found out that Aunt Ut had secretly burned offerings worth 10,000 dong behind everyone's back, Uncle One and Uncle Two were furious, consumed with jealousy. The eldest son stood in the middle of the crowd, yelling loudly, cursing at everyone. Back then, I told her to burn a little more, but she wouldn't listen. With my mother's blessing, how come I only won 30,000? It should have been at least 30 million, Aunt pouted. Then just burn some more next time. Some people started discussing contributing money to buy more paper offerings. My mother looked at me hesitantly. I still have a few hundred in my pocket. Should we burn a little too? Out of the 4 siblings, my family was the poorest. I disagreed. Just then, my aunt walked by, grabbed my second uncle's hand, and pointed at my mother and me, mocking. "Sis, even though mom doesn't care enough to think of you with any good dreams, at least you have some luck. You're still able to hear. But you're listening to your foolish daughter, who refuses to burn a little more paper offerings for mom. Later, even if food falls from the sky, it won't be your turn." Such a big good thing. Even distant cousins who hadn't been in contact for ages were called back. Now they were all standing there, waiting to see the joke about my mother and me. Her cousin from the paternal side burst into laughter. Auntie, with a tone of disdain, said, "What's the point of talking to her? She's a fool, destined to work for others all her life." Hearing this, I was not about to back down, so I responded, "We're sisters after all. Once our family gets rich, I'll invite you and auntie to come work as maids for us." Their words were truly harsh. My mother, fearing I might be upset, gently reassured me, "Don't mind them, darling." I asked my mother, "Mom, don't you think I'm foolish? Aren't you afraid of missing out on this opportunity to change our lives?" My mother gave a bitter smile. "I don't have that kind of luck." I laughed, my voice cold. "That's right. We really don't have that kind of luck. Uncle's family, Uncle Too's family, and Auntie have spent a fortune. They emptied all the gold paper at the incense shops in the nearby villages. Auntie's husband spent 100,000 yuan, contacted the factory, and ordered a whole new batch of gold paper. Uncle knelt before Grandma's grave, burning the gold paper while murmuring a prayer. Mom, can you please ask the spirits which number will win the lottery this week? The prize has now reached over 30 million. Do you think you'll live a life of luxury? It all depends on your mother. Aunt Care respectfully lit incense and placed it in front of the boiled chicken before the grave. Mother, this is the chicken you loved most. The marriage prospects of our family's direct grandson are still uncertain. If he could marry the daughter of a department head, that would be perfect. She's the granddaughter of the Zhang family, and the future of our entire clan depends on him. You must help out with this. Since I was young, I had never seen Aunt Sia speak to my grandmother so politely. My older cousin currently works at a large company. I heard he has feelings for a university classmate, the daughter of a department head in the city. Before the oldest uncle had finished his prayers, the second uncle rushed over and interrupted. Brother, you've been at it too long. It's my turn now. The oldest uncle glared at him. What are you glaring for? You about to reincarnate or something? But when the second uncle pulled out a long incense stick, like a pillar, the oldest uncle's face darkened. The second uncle smiled sheepishly. Miss Yu just wanted to chat a bit more. I sat on the side, peeling off paper from the gold and silver offerings, unable to hold back a laugh. The family had bought so much gold and paper money. Everyone was fighting to burn it for my grandmother, and they even hired my mom and me to be temporary laborers. Each of us earned 300 a day for the task of peeling the boxes and preparing the offerings. Aunt Hai and my grandmother had long been like fire and water. The second uncle's family hadn't visited her for a whole year, and now, after she passed, they suddenly remembered her to show respect. It was too ridiculous. My cousin kicked me. What are you laughing at? I clutched my sore thigh and glared at him. It was annoying, and he shouted loudly, "Oh ho, you still dare to glare at me? You want a beating, huh?" He raised his fist and charged towards me. I barely had time to dodge. My mother, afraid that I would be hit, rushed to hold me and took the punch for me. My mother has worked hard all year round, and her back had been weak for a long time. That punch hit her right in the lower back, causing her so much pain that she collapsed, clutching her body and curling up. "Mom, are you okay?" My mother winced in pain, but still tried to reassure me. "Nan, don't be afraid. I'm fine." My cousin sneered. "Yimei, what's all this acting for? Don't you just want to make a little extra money? I'll give you another 100 later. Is that what you want?" I looked up, furious, glaring at him. "You piece of filth. My mother is your aunt, and you dare lay a hand on her." My cousin shrugged indifferently. "Don't claim ties you don't have. I don't have poor relatives like you. My father passed away when I was little due to an accident. Since then, my mother has worked laboriously everywhere, struggling to raise me. Because of our poverty, none of our relatives from my mother's side ever valued us. Now, all three of their families are about to get rich, each saying that their grandmother appeared to them in a dream, except for my mother. This only made them look down on her even more. At home, they treat my mother like nothing more than a servant, pushing her to do all sorts of tasks. I advised my mother to leave and stop enduring this suffering. But she said, when your parents are gone, children must show filial piety. Grandma hasn't even been gone for 3 weeks, and no matter how big the matter is, we can't just abandon it. Now, even the younger generation, like my cousins, dares to lay hands on my mother. I turned to look at Uncle Tu and Aunt Tu. Aren't you just going to stand there and watch? Uncle Tu was still busy lighting incense at the temple, not even sparing me a glance. Aunt Tu shot me a glare and said in a harsh tone, "Is that how you talk to me? A mother can give birth, but without a father to teach, you deserve to be beaten." I grabbed a small chair next to me and threw it straight at Aunt Tu. "I'll kill you." The chair hit her on the forehead, and blood immediately began to pour down her face. Everyone froze in shock. When they came to their senses, she immediately screamed, "Cousin, go attack her. Beat this bitch to death for me." 2 people rushed at me, grabbing me and beating me mercilessly. My cousin, tall and strong, overpowered me completely. He pinned me to the ground. Aunt Tu sat on my waist, grabbing my hair and slapping my head repeatedly. My mother desperately tried to protect me. Uncle One tried to rush over to intervene, but Aunt One held him back. My aunt also just stood there watching, like she was enjoying a show. Surrounding us were all my mother's relatives, yet none of them made a move to help. Even though Aunt Hai and my fierce cousin were like that, I couldn't accept being beaten in silence. I bit down hard on my cousin's thigh, causing it to scream out in pain. "Ah, is this dog biting me? Let go." My cousin frantically kicked me in the head. Aunt Hai was about to rush in to help, but I seized the opportunity, swung my hand, and grabbed her chest, squeezing hard. She screamed out in agony, her voice like the crackling of fire. At that moment, Uncle Hai suddenly yelled out, "It's on fire! Finally, it's burning!" Everyone turned their heads to look, and it turned out that the incense stick in Uncle Hai's hand had finally sparked with a small flame. Aunt Hai and my cousin immediately let go of me and excitedly ran towards him. My mother helped me up. "Are you all right, dear?" I shook my head, my hand clenched into a fist, trembling uncontrollably. Then I heard Uncle Hai's groan. "Why did it go out again?" Aunt Sir struggled to hold back her laughter. Aunt Tut had lost her patience and urged loudly, "Uncle Hai, I don't want your incense anymore. Move aside so I can do it. Mom used to love me the most when she was alive. She's probably missing me a lot now." Uncle Hai was displeased, glaring at her. "Shut your mouth." With that, he started looking for a reason. After a while, he took the incense and dipped the end into the blood stain on Aunt Hai's forehead. Aunt Hai couldn't stand the pain and cursed. "Are you crazy?" Second brother shoved her hand away and lit the blood-stained spot with a lighter. As expected, the fire caught quicker than elsewhere. He shouted with excitement, "Blood sacrifice, so mother enjoys blood rituals." As he spoke, he turned to look at second aunt, his eyes fixed on her wound, flashing a green light like a wild beast. Terrified, second aunt kept backing away. My cousin quickly stepped forward to shield her, placing himself between her and second brother. "If you want a blood sacrifice, that's easy. Just wait a moment." With that, he grabbed the fruit knife nearby, turned to look at me, eyes full of greed. I immediately pulled my mother behind me, shielding her by instinct. My mother pushed me aside and stood in front of me. She sternly warned my cousin, "Xiao Chen, hitting someone is against the law. What were all those years of study for? If you get a criminal record, how will you continue with your master's degree?" My cousin scoffed. "Don't worry, Grandma will protect me. The good life is still ahead of me." Then he bent down and grabbed the black dog lying on the ground. I hurriedly ran to stop them. "What are you doing? Let Xiao Hei go. It's the dog I raised, and it has been my companion for many years. It's not just a pet, it even saved my life. When I was 13, I was washing dishes by the riverbank when my cousin and little cousin teamed up to harm me, pushing me into the river. They knew I could swim. They just wanted to tease me. In the middle of winter, the freezing cold water made me shiver uncontrollably. The sharp pain in my calves drained my strength to kick. The cold water rushed up my nose, flooding my lungs. I thought I was going to drown. At that moment, a shadow appeared, desperately pulling me to the shore. It was Xiaohei who saved me. At that time, I swore I would take care of it for the rest of my life. I rushed forward to grab Xiaohei back, but Aunt Tu firmly stopped me. My mother wanted to help, but Uncle Tu slapped her hard and shoved her aside. It's just a dog. Why make such a fuss? When our family gets rich, I'll buy you a dog. Even 8 dogs if you want. Even if I bought 1,000 dogs, none could ever replace my Xiaohei. I struggled desperately, trying to break free from second aunt's grip. She held me tightly, refusing to let go. My cousin moved quickly. He lifted Xiaohei high into the air, then slammed him violently to the ground. Xiaohei let out a heart-rending cry, all 4 legs flailing, blood pouring endlessly from his mouth. My cousin mercilessly stabbed a knife into his neck, blood splattering onto the nearby kitchen fire. The crimson sparks suddenly flared up, and the fierce flames reflected blood red in the eyes of second uncle and second aunt. Second uncle, thrilled, tossed me aside and used the fear to light the large incense stick he had prepared. As the incense smoke curled through the air, he praised my cousin without forgetting. Son, you always know what to do. My cousin gave a slight smirk, blood from Xiaohei still staining his face. That savage scene turned my eyes bloodshot. My mother gently comforted me. Don't be sad, my daughter. Let me take you away from here. I calmly grasped her hand. No, we're not going anywhere. I have to stay and witness these people receive their punishment. 3 days passed. Eldest uncle and youngest aunt on the other side remained completely silent, as if nothing had happened. Only second uncle was growing more and more prosperous. The most unexpected thing was that my cousin started dating. Rumor had it the girl was the daughter of a bureau chief, the same girl whom eldest cousin had secretly liked for a long time. This drove eldest cousin mad. As soon as eldest aunt heard the news, she rushed to the front of second uncle's room and scolded him non-stop the entire morning. Not a single harsh word was spared. Second aunt, not one to back down, stood with her hands on her hips and snapped back. It's simply because my son's capable. Even the girl came looking for him herself. Your son has a face like a cow or a horse, and yet he still dreams of having a girlfriend. He doesn't have that kind of luck. He'll never marry anyone in this lifetime. Auntie One turned red with anger. When she got home, she argued loudly with Uncle One. It wasn't just Uncle One's house. Auntie Two's side was also quiet. The money to buy the gold offerings had been borrowed by Auntie Two's husband from online credit apps. Now there was no response, and the whole family was anxious, like they were burning with worry. The 2 families pushed Uncle Two aside and gathered together to discuss. My mother and I were also called in, not to scheme or plot anything, but to cook, clean, and do the menial tasks. My older cousin spoke up first. How about we find another dog to offer as a sacrifice so that grandmother in the underworld can gain more power? Uncle One nodded as though he was thinking deeply. Auntie One, eager to marry off her daughter to a government official's family, had already started calling around to find a dog. At that moment, Auntie Two suddenly spoke up. This time, using a dog might not work. Everyone turned to look at Auntie Two, their eyes full of doubt. She glanced at me, then slowly said, "Last night, Mother came to me in a dream." Uncle One hurriedly asked, "What did she say?" Auntie Two lowered her voice. "We've been burning too much gold, and Mother was so busy counting the money that her hand cramped up. She didn't have time to bribe the evil spirits. The eldest suddenly came to his senses and slapped his thigh with a loud smack. Henry had been burning paper offerings for a while with no response. It turned out there weren't enough paper servants in the underworld. This won't do. I have to go to the shop and buy 2 more paper effigies to burn so they can help mother. The cousin grabbed his arm. 3 paper figures might not be enough. The eldest frowned. Then what should we do? Are we supposed to burn real people down there? The cousin gave a cold smile. Yes, not only real people, but they must also be obedient. His eyes turned icy as they unconsciously shifted toward me. In the middle of the night, the eldest came to see us. He brought a whole box of joss paper and set it down in front of my mother. Little sister, we've all burned offerings for mother already. You should burn some too. After all, she was your sister. You can't just live in poverty like this while we stand by and watch. My mother turned to look at me, and the eldest scowled in annoyance. What are you looking at her for? I told you to burn offerings, so just do it. Since childhood, my mother had been terrified of the eldest. A single shout from him was enough to make her tremble. Yes, I'll go tomorrow. The eldest barked. Go now. What are you waiting for? My mother's eyes widened in disbelief. Big brother, it's the middle of the night. How can I go now? The eldest grabbed her sleeve and dragged her toward the door. Hurry up, mother's waiting. My mother was backed into a corner. Wait a moment. Let me say a few words to Nan. I stood up, walked over, and took her hand. Mom, I'll go too. My mother furrowed her brows tightly. Where are you going? Stay home and be good. I want to show my gratitude to Grandma. Out of nowhere, Zhihu appeared, smiling slyly at me. That's right. Nan wants to show her gratitude to her mother. Let her go. The more people, the more hands. My mother seemed to sense something unusual. It was rare for her to look so stern, her sharp gaze sweeping over all of us siblings. Nan can't go. Seeing her firm stance, my older brother spoke up to mediate. All right, just let the youngest go. Aunt Han looked at Mosik with a stern glare. My mother didn't allow me to go, and I didn't force it, honestly staying home to sleep. On the 3rd day, as usual, I was the first to wake up, boiling water and preparing breakfast for the family. Suddenly, there was a loud banging at the door from outside. I rushed to open it and found Mr. Laimazi, the village watchman. He hurriedly burst into the house. Someone's dead. There's a body at your family's tomb. Someone died right in front of it early this morning, and now it's gone. There's no trace left. What? A terrified cry rang out from behind me. I turned to see my older brother standing there, his face full of panic. Laimazi seemed to see him as his savior, rushing toward him. Brother Zhang, you have to come and see. Something serious has happened. Your family. Before he could finish his sentence, the eldest son covered his mouth. I know already. Go right away. I wanted to follow, but the eldest son blocked me. What would a child like you be going for? Stay home obediently. Hearing the news, the second son and auntie rushed over as well. Both families wanted to go together. Seeing the others' determined attitudes, the eldest son felt uncomfortable rejecting them and ended up leading everyone along. As we approached the cemetery, a strong, pungent smell of blood hit us. Looking up, we saw someone kneeling in the middle of the graveyard. The whole group instinctively stopped. The second son suddenly asked me, Nan, where's your mother? Why don't we see her? I furrowed my brows, about to answer, when Auntie interjected. Nan, could the one kneeling at the grave be your mother? Your grandmother must have appeared in someone's dream, but didn't come to you. So your mother went to the grave to stir things up, hoping for her blessing. My cousin, still holding a grudge over past events, chimed in. So another relative has joined the underworld now? Remind your mother to take good care of grandmother and ask for another dream for us. I glared at him angrily. My mother is dead. The eldest brother patted my shoulder. Nan, if your mother really is thinking of doing something foolish, don't be too heartbroken. I cast a cold glance around at the group of people. Though everyone tried to look sorrowful, there was a hint of hidden joy in their eyes. A group of demons wearing human skin in the heavy atmosphere. My aunt suddenly burst into a heartbreaking cry. Sister, is it really you? Why did you leave so suddenly? Suddenly, the youngest? Who are you crying for? A voice from behind made the whole group turn pale. I looked back, and my mother was standing not far away. The eldest aunt screamed in shock. How can we see a ghost in broad daylight? Next to my mother stood the old village head, the former village leader. In the village, he held such a high position that even the eldest and second brothers had to call him Uncle Ba. Hearing the eldest aunt, the old man raised his pipe and struck the back of her hand with it. What nonsense are you spouting? Your youngest dropped into the pit behind the mountain yesterday. The villagers found her this morning and brought her back to my house. I was about to take her home, but hearing that there was trouble at the graveyard, I came to investigate. I rushed over and hugged my mother tightly. Mom, are you all right? Are you hurt? My mother's voice was weak. I'm fine, dear. Just a small scratch on my hand. Diot whispered. If it's not her, then who could it be? The second cousin suddenly asked. What about Tan? Why don't we see him? The younger cousin added. Why do I see a shadow kneeling there? It looks a bit like the eldest brother. The eldest cousin was startled and staggered towards the grave. Just a moment later, a heartbreaking scream echoed from the grandmother's grave. My child Tan, why is it you? No one expected the deceased to be their cousin. Zhang Yucheng, the eldest cousin's son. The villagers said the eldest cousin had committed suicide. Beside his body, there was a bottle of sleeping pills, and on his phone, there was a video he filmed himself, clearly indicating that it was voluntary, with no one forcing him. After death, his face had been mauled by wild animals in the forest, leaving more than half of it gone. Lai Mazi couldn't bear to look closely and just said that the head was no longer there. The aunt went mad after one night. She clutched her cousin's clothes tightly and asked everyone she met, Have you seen my Tan? The eldest son seemed completely lost, sitting motionless at the door. The funeral of my older cousin had to be taken care of by the second son. My mother led me to the ancestral hall to offer incense for my older cousin, but she was stopped by the eldest son. His gaze was sharp as he looked at my mother. Why wasn't it you who died? My mother's eyes were red. Elder brother, I know you're heartbroken, so I won't hold it against you. Aunt Tu stepped forward angrily, glaring at my mother. People as unlucky as you shouldn't come here anymore. Since you returned, there hasn't been a single good thing in this house. Now, even the one with the brightest future has been cursed to death by you. Are you planning to kill anyone else before you leave? Since my father passed away, my mother had been branded as someone who cursed her husband. And those cruel words came from the mouths of her own blood relatives. Because of this, my mother had to leave our hometown and work elsewhere. Seeing the eldest brother's face grow darker by the second, I stepped forward to retort. Auntie, you're really happy that your cousin died, aren't you? Auntie's face immediately darkened. What did you just say? I let out a soft laugh. Did I say something wrong? The daughter of the section chief is so perfect, yet your cousin chased after her for 3 years with no result, while your nephew and she just met and immediately became inseparable, as if their intentions were laid bare. Auntie hurriedly defended herself, blaming it on Tan's stupidity. What do you know? I growled. If it's not you guys scheming, then what is it? Using blood to sacrifice a black dog at grandmother's grave, isn't it to steal her luck? Seeing the eldest brother's expression change, the second brother jumped up in a frenzy. You filthy girl, if you keep spouting nonsense, I'll beat you to death. At that moment, My mother stepped in front of me. "Uncle, where did Nan say something wrong?" The second brother froze, not expecting my mother, the one who had always been tolerant, to dare stand up against him. His face gradually darkened. The sister-in-law was right. She was the one who often caused trouble. Seeing my mother being slandered, I stepped forward. "Uncle, what has my mother done to be accused of causing trouble? And as for you all using every dirty trick, do you think no one noticed?" Aunt laughed, as if watching a play. Nan, what did your uncle do to make you so upset? Speak up so everyone can judge fairly." I shrank back and hesitantly spoke. "Last night, after Aunt and Uncle left, Uncle and my cousin," I deliberately paused in the middle of my sentence. Uncle immediately shouted, threatening me, "Don't talk nonsense." Uncle rushed over and grabbed me by the collar, his gaze fierce as if he wanted to tear me apart. "Kid, what did you do?" I trembled as I opened my mouth. "Last night, Uncle and my cousin went to Grandma's grave." Uncle released me and turned to stare at Uncle with a piercing look. "Why did you take Xiao Chen to the grave last night? Does the death of Tan have anything to do with you?" Uncle looked aggrieved. "Brother, do you really believe the crazy words of this little girl?" His voice sank, dark and heavy like the wind before a storm. "I may not believe it, but you have to answer truthfully. Did you go to the grave last night?" The second son pressed his lips together, his face twisted in discomfort, unable to say a word. He understood well that if he confessed now, his older brother would certainly start to doubt him. The bond they had shared for decades as brothers might shatter from this point onward. But if I truly had evidence in hand, once the truth came to light, he would have nothing left to say. Seeing the second son show signs of guilt, the second wife snarled and interjected sharply. "So what? You two are brothers, so you're allowed to visit the grave and pray for her blessing. What about my family? My son committed suicide. Don't you dare blame my family for it." With that, she yanked the second son away, muttering curses under her breath. The elder son stared after the two figures, silent for a long time. The air in the courtyard was suffocatingly still. Auntie stepped forward, gathering her courage to offer comfort. "Brother, don't be upset anymore. If Uncle Hai really did something like that, Mother in the underworld would definitely see it clearly. She won't bless them." Uncle Ka didn't respond, only staring coldly at Grandmother's memorial tablet, his voice icy. If Mother really wanted to bless anyone, she wouldn't have stood by and watched her own grandchild die right in front of the grave. Aunt Dai noticed the atmosphere was starting to turn unusual, so she made an excuse and said a few words, pulling her husband away to retreat. "My mother also gave you permission. Take me away from here." Back in the room, Aunt Dai placed a basket of dirty clothes in front of my mother. "Sister, you're free to wash clothes, right? Can you wash these for me too? My hands are sore." My mother said nothing, silently accepting the clothes. She was too used to being ordered around by relatives, being pressured. Only when it came to me would she dare to resist. I immediately picked up the whole basket of clothes and slammed it hard into Aunt Dai's chest. Aunt Dai flew into a rage, but I stopped her before she could respond. "Aunt Dai, my mother is still suffering from back pain. If it wasn't for you and Uncle Sa dragging her up the mountain last night, she wouldn't have fallen into the pit." The youngest aunt furrowed her brows and looked at my mother with a suspicious gaze. "Sister, weren't you praying at the grave last night? How did you end up rolling down into the pit behind the mountain?" I didn't expect my youngest aunt to ask this question. The palms of my hands clenched involuntarily. My mother coldly looked at the youngest aunt, her voice sharp and icy. "You ask me? I want to ask you all as well." Clearly, I went up to the grave with you all. As soon as I finished lighting the incense, I passed out. When I woke up, I was lying in the pit. "What did you all do to me?" The youngest aunt avoided her gaze, not daring to face her. Maybe it was a ghost scaring you. I still have to wash clothes. I'll go ahead." I silently observed. My mother calmly said to me, "Go to bed early. Tomorrow I'll take you back to the city." I frowned and shook my head resolutely. "I'm not going." My mother immediately turned away. "So many things have happened. Aren't you afraid?" I lifted my head high and replied firmly, "I'm not afraid. A righteous person is not afraid of ghosts knocking at the door. You can't go. You have to stay and witness the evildoers pay for their wrongs." In the following days, the small house left by my grandmother suddenly became very interesting. The death of my eldest cousin cast a heavy, gloomy atmosphere over my uncle's house, as if the air was thick with the weight of bones. In contrast, my second uncle's house was bustling with people coming and going every day, all caught up in idle gossip. My second aunt-in-law held her chin up higher than the sky. Each day, her arrogance seemed to grow. It was said that my cousin was about to get engaged to the daughter of a city bureau chief. Even Auntie, who had always been close to my eldest uncle, began to shift her focus toward trying to please my second uncle. How did my older brother manage to make my mother keep blessing his family like this? Or is it that my mother only sends him private dreams? Did my second uncle say something to Auntie? I didn't hear clearly. I just saw the two of them whispering, speaking quietly as they walked further away. I turned around and immediately caught the eldest son's gaze, staring intently in the direction they had just gone. That look was as poisonous as a drop of venom sinking into the bottom of one's eyes. That day, something earth-shattering happened. The madwoman, the eldest aunt, had dug up my grandmother's grave. As soon as the news reached us, everyone rushed to the cemetery. The newly built tomb had been destroyed beyond recognition. The eldest aunt raised a dagger, ready to smash the urn containing my grandmother's ashes. The second son, in panic, shouted, "Stop her! Protect our mother!" Everyone rushed in to stop her. My mother also wanted to rush forward to help, but I stopped her. She turned to look at me, her eyes confused. "That's your grandmother." I didn't answer. No matter how hard the second son tried, it was still one step too late. With a loud crash, the urn shattered into pieces. The eldest aunt laughed maniacally and said, "That old hag was already hated when she was alive. Now she's causing trouble, even after death. My son is the grandson of this woman, yet she didn't protect him, letting him die right before her grave. I had to drag her up to beat her corpse, and even after she died, she wouldn't rest in peace." Auntie stomped her feet angrily. "You're crazy, really crazy. How dare you break the urn with my mother's ashes?" Lady Lu laughed coldly, staring at Auntie. "I'm crazy, yes. What are you going to do about it? Don't believe me? I'll swing this knife and kill you right now." Auntie, terrified, took several steps back. "Big brother, help me!" Auntie called out to second uncle, but second uncle and second aunt were hurriedly picking up the shards of the urn, none of them paying attention to Auntie. Second uncle knelt before the broken pieces, crying loudly as he gathered them up. "Mother, you've suffered so much." Hearing his sobs, I almost laughed. When Grandma died, he didn't shed a single tear. My cousin seemed to realize something. He squatted down, picking up a handful of what was inside the urn, and handed it to second uncle. "Dad, why does this stuff look like sand? It doesn't look like ashes at all." Second uncle froze, then started inspecting closely. After everyone looked carefully, they realized that the urn only contained sand. The cousin angrily threw the urn to the ground and dragged Aunt Hai over to confront her. "It was you, wasn't it? You secretly swapped it with Grandma's ashes. What have you done?" Aunt Hai just laughed maniacally, completely indifferent to his words. When Grandma's ashes suddenly disappeared, everyone was in an uproar, scrambling to search. Everyone suspected that Aunt Hai had hidden them, but she had gone mad. No matter what they asked, she would just laugh blankly. If they pressed her too hard, she would lash out with the urn. With no other choice, everyone scattered across the mountain to search for Grandma's ashes. My mother was about to go, but I stopped her. She immediately understood and turned to look at me. "Was it you?" Yes, it was me. Right after Grandma's burial, I secretly swapped her ashes. For the past few days, the one everyone has been offering incense to and praying to was just a jar of sand. Grandma once said her final wish was to be buried alongside Grandpa, but the eldest son was concerned with preserving his dignity, while the second son only cared about choosing a place with good feng shui to accumulate blessings. No one ever considered the wishes of my grandmother. She had a sharp tongue, but a soft heart. Although she had once been displeased that my mother married a poor man, when I was a child and couldn't follow my mother to work, it was she who had raised me. Out of gratitude for that, I had to fulfill her last wish. Now, her bones were resting in the grave beside my grandfather's. After finding out that it was I who had done it, my mother hurriedly packed up and planned to take me away from this place. Hearing my mother's words, I said, "Let's go quickly. These people have gone mad over money. If the second uncle finds out I did this, they surely won't spare me." I replied calmly, "Let them come, because I have no intention of sparing them." The next morning, news came that the second uncle and my cousin had fallen to their deaths in a mountain gorge. The night before, the second uncle's house and aunt were still up on the mountain, searching for my grandmother's bones. By midnight, aunt couldn't take it anymore and left first, leaving only the second uncle and my cousin stubbornly staying behind, groping around in the dark. At that time, Zhihu joked, "They really are persistent. No wonder they got rich." Who would have thought that the next day we would hear the news that 2 people had lost their lives before the altar for my cousin could even be dismantled? The altar for my second uncle and my younger cousin was already set up. In a short span of time, 4 people in our family had died. Both of my nephews had passed away, and my eldest uncle, who was of advanced age, could no longer have children. The Zhang family line had officially come to an end. To the people in the village, this was like the sky falling down. Everyone said our family was cursed, a family of bad luck, and no one dared to approach us. Even several households nearby moved away in the night, fleeing to relatives' homes to avoid the disaster. Rumors spread throughout the village, and the hidden sins began to emerge. Didn't they say that the old Zhang woman would bless her grandchildren after her death? How did it end up as a curse? Those ungrateful descendants. If she really did bless them, that would be a miracle. You don't know, do you? Mrs. Zhang was starved to death. Her 2 daughters-in-law were no good. Her 2 sons were utterly useless, and the youngest daughter married off to the city, never bothering to look back. 6 months ago, when my grandmother was picking tea leaves on the mountain, she unfortunately fell and broke her leg. The surgery cost more than 30,000, and after the operation, she would have to sit in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. Upon hearing this news, the eldest and second uncles immediately refused further treatment, opting for conservative care instead. They took her to see a local healer who applied massage and herbal patches to alleviate the pain. Since then, my grandmother has been bedridden, unable to work, and even eating has become a problem. The second uncle and aunt both live in the city, each more busy than a government official, with no one to take care of her. The eldest uncle, being focused on his business, left all the responsibility of caring for my grandmother to my aunt. My aunt is a narrow-minded and petty person who only brightens up when she sees money. Even when my grandmother just picked a few bundles of vegetables from my aunt's garden, she would be loudly scolded. How could anyone expect her to care for anyone with such a heart? No one else wanted to interfere. To make sure my grandmother didn't go hungry, my mother and I did our best to set aside a portion of our meager salaries, sending 1,000 each month to my aunt just for food and care. When receiving money, she smiled sweetly, as sweet as sugar cane, promising to take good care of her mother-in-law. But behind her back, she was cruel and tortured her. She had once favored the second son, so now she was being repaid with vengeance. There were days when she could only have one meal, the most abundant food being the rice water from the pot left overnight, which they called leftover porridge. She had asked the neighbors to call her children. The second son and the youngest aunt refused to come back. Only my mother missed the long trip back to the village once. But as soon as she arrived, the eldest aunt scolded her. "If you're so capable, take her home and take care of her." My mother had planned to bring her back, but my grandmother refused. She said, "All my life I owe your mother too much. I can't add more burden at the end of my life." She belonged to a generation that valued sons over daughters, and all the land was divided between the two sons. The small amount of property left after my grandfather's death was also given entirely to the two grandsons. My mother, for the sake of survival, had to leave the countryside and move to the city to work as a laborer. Before leaving, she left an additional 500 dong, hoping that the eldest daughter-in-law would ensure she got 3 full meals a day. The eldest daughter-in-law accepted the money, but in the end, the grandmother still died of starvation. When she passed away, her body was nothing but a bundle of bones, and the lower half of her body had already begun to rot and decompose. When she was alive, no one cared for her. When she died, her 3 indifferent children were busy arranging an extravagant funeral, hoping that she would bless them from the underworld and help them get rich. It was truly a ridiculous situation. 4 people died consecutively, and the youngest aunt was so frightened that she knelt before her late mother's altar. "I'm not involved in this, mother. Wrongdoings have their culprits, debts have their debtors. I've married out, and the responsibility of caring for you no longer falls on me. If you have any grievances, direct them at those who harmed you. Don't drag me into this." She kept kowtowing and repeating her words until her forehead bled, yet she did not dare to stop. Her husband, initially the youngest aunt, had planned to follow her. But her husband directly said, "Your family's matters are unclear yet. Don't even think about coming to my house. If you bring misfortune back, I will beat you to death." With no other choice, the youngest aunt stayed in the village, praying for her late mother's forgiveness. From morning until midnight, she kept kowtowing and muttering prayers. "Mother, I am your own daughter. Please forgive me. I was wrong. From now on, every tomb sweeping day, I will definitely burn a lot of paper money for you." Seeing her groveling so sincerely, I could only find it ridiculous. Late at night, I huddled in the corner, quietly observing. After a while, I finally saw a dark figure sneaking out of the house. As soon as I approached, I spoke up. "Eldest brother, it's past midnight. Where are you going?" He was startled when he saw me, a look of surprise flickering in his eyes. "Why are you here? Move aside. Children shouldn't meddle in adult matters." I stood my ground, not moving an inch. "Is murder also an adult matter?" The eldest brother glared at me, his face changing color. "What are you saying?" I stared directly into his eyes, each word cutting like a knife. "Could it be that you are not the one who pushed second brother and cousin down the mountain?" He tried to keep his composure. "What nonsense are you talking? Are you the one spouting nonsense, or am I the one who's startled?" The eldest brother took a few steps back, his gaze suddenly sharp as a knife, full of murderous intent. "How do you know that on that night I was clearly alone?" Realizing he had said too much, he immediately fell silent. I, a child who grew up without a father, with a mother who left to seek a living and abandoned me in the village. No one knows this mountain better than I do. Following anyone in the forest without them noticing, it's as easy as flipping my hand. The eldest brother subtly placed his hand behind his back. Although he tried to hide it, I had noticed from the very beginning Just as he was about to make a move, my mother appeared. Eldest brother, did you really kill second brother and Xiao Chen? The murderous look in the eldest brother's eyes seemed to dissipate for a moment. Killing me would be easy, but killing both of them here would be impossible. Not to mention, this isn't deep in the forest. Just shout and someone will hear it. Younger sibling, I'm doing this to avenge Tan. If it weren't for their greed, using blood sacrifices to take away all of Tan's fortune, he wouldn't have been so confused as to the point of committing suicide. My mother looked at him with a pained expression. That's just your assumption. You're killing people, even your own flesh and blood, all based on an assumption. You've truly lost your mind. The eldest brother clenched his fists. Younger sibling, we're blood relatives. Since we were little, I've always cared for you the most. You'll help me, won't you? Just pretend you don't know anything. Keep Nan here for me. I let out a cold laugh. Haha. Care for her? Care so much that you would cause your sister's husband to die, just so she becomes a widow for life. What? My mother trembled and rushed toward me. Nan, what do you mean by that? I raised my hand, each finger trembling with anger. My mother asked my eldest uncle, ask how your father died. My mother screamed as if tearing her insides apart. Eldest brother, what on earth happened? My eldest uncle didn't answer my mother. His gaze fixed on me. Impossible. You were only 3 years old at the time. How could you know? Could it be? Could it be? When he looked at me again, his gaze had completely changed. Is it mother? Is it mother possessing my grandchild, right? I did not deny it. Let him think what he wanted. I only noticed that the eldest son immediately changed his attitude, kneeling in front of me, banging his head on the ground like crazy. Mother, I was wrong. Please spare my life. He rushed forward, attempting to grab my feet. I kicked out sharply, the sound echoing. I've already reported to the police. They'll arrive as soon as it gets light. By then, the whole village will know that the eldest son is the one who starved his own mother to death, killed his brother-in-law, and then killed his own brother and grandson. You can't escape. Upon hearing this, the eldest son collapsed to the ground as if all his strength had been drained away. 4 people died in quick succession, and the youngest aunt was so terrified that she collapsed in front of her grandmother's memorial tablet. Mother, I am not involved in this. If there's any grievance, it has a source. If there's any debt, it has an owner. I am married now, and taking care of you is no longer my responsibility. If you have any resentment, please direct it at those who harmed you, but don't drag me into it. She repeatedly bowed her head, her forehead bleeding, but she dared not stop. At first, her husband had intended to follow her, but he bluntly said, your family matters are still unclear. Don't even think about coming back to my house. If you bring misfortune with you, I'll beat you to death. With no other option, the youngest aunt had to stay in the village, begging for her grandmother's forgiveness. From morning until midnight, she kept bowing and muttering her prayers. Mother, I am your own daughter. Please forgive me. I was wrong. From now on, every year during Qingming, I will burn a lot of gold and paper money for you. Seeing her so humbly bowing and pleading, I could only find it ridiculous. Late at night, I tucked myself into the corner of the wall, silently observing. After a while, I finally saw a shadow sneakily creeping out of the house. As soon as he came close, I spoke up. Big brother, it's already midnight. Where are you going? He was startled when he saw me, a flash of surprise in his eyes. What are you doing here? Get out of the way. Kids shouldn't interfere in adult matters. I stood still, not moving an inch. Is killing someone also an adult matter? Big brother glared, his face changing color. What are you talking about? I looked him straight in the eye, each word cutting like a knife. Wasn't it you who pushed second brother and cousin down the mountain? He tried to maintain a calm demeanor. "What nonsense are you talking about? Is it nonsense I'm saying, or are you just startled?" Big Brother took a few steps back, his gaze suddenly sharp as a knife, full of murderous intent. How do you know?" That night, I was clearly alone. Realizing he had said too much, he immediately shut his mouth. A child who grew up without a father, with a mother who wandered far away to make a living, left alone in this village. No one knows this mountain better than I do. Following someone in the woods without them noticing? For me, it's as easy as flipping my hand. Big Brother subtly placed his hand behind his back. Though he tried to hide it, I had already noticed from the beginning. Just as he was about to strike, my mother appeared. "Big Brother, did you really kill second brother and Xiao Chen?" The murderous intent in Big Brother's eyes faded for a moment. "Killing me is easy, but killing both of them here is impossible. Not to mention, this place isn't deep in the forest. Just shouting once and someone will hear it. Little sister, I'm doing this to avenge Tan. If it weren't for their greed, using blood sacrifices to steal all of Tan's fortune, he wouldn't have been so confused to the point of committing suicide." My mother looked at him with a painful gaze. "That's just your assumption. You're killing people, even your own brother, based on an assumption. You've really lost your mind." The eldest son clenched my mother's hand tightly. "Little sister, we're blood relatives. Since we were young, I've always loved you the most. You'll help me, right? Just pretend you don't know anything. Keep Nan here for me." I let out a cold laugh. "Haha, love? Love to the point of killing your sister's husband? Making her turn into a widow for life? What?" My mother trembled and rushed towards me asking, Nan, what do you mean by that?" I raised my hand, each fingertip trembling with anger. My mother asked that uncle, "Ask how your father died." My mother screamed as if tearing her heart out. "Elder brother, what exactly happened?" The eldest uncle didn't answer my mother. His gaze was fixed on me. "Impossible. You were only 3 years old then. How could you know? Could it be? Could it be?" When he looked at me again, his gaze had completely changed. "It's your mother, isn't it? It's your mother possessing your body, isn't it?" I didn't deny it. Let him think whatever he wanted. I only saw the eldest son immediately change his attitude, kneeling in front of me and banging his head on the ground like a madman. "Mother, I was wrong. Please spare my life." He rushed towards me, trying to grab my legs. I kicked him away with a straight leg. "I've already called the police. They'll be here as soon as it gets light. By then, the whole village will know that the eldest son is the one who starved his own mother to death, caused his brother-in-law's death, and then killed his own sister and nephew. You can't escape." Hearing this, the eldest son collapsed to the ground, as if all his strength had been drained. I supported my mother, still trembling from the shock, then turned and left that place. Upon returning home, my mother leaned against the wall for a long time before slowly speaking. "You've come back to take revenge, haven't you?" I did not deny it. The thought of revenge had hovered in my mind countless times. There were moments when I wanted to end the eldest son's life with my own hands, with a single knife strike. But I knew that for such a filthy person, I could not trade my entire life away. I could only wait for the right moment, when he would have to pay, suffering deeply to the core. As soon as I arrived at my grandmother's house, I saw her spirit manifest on the altar. I don't know why only I could see her. Perhaps she knew of my hatred. Knowing the pain I felt in the underworld, she wanted to lend me a hand. I saw the bitterness in her eyes, saw the resentment in her spirit. She had starved to death, died in agony and frustration, unable to close her eyes. How could such a person bless the beasts who killed her? I knew she wanted revenge, and I was merely using her to make them destroy each other. That night, when my mother was dragged to the mountain, I was afraid for the first time. I knelt down and begged my grandmother, asking her to save my mother. To my surprise, the first person she took away was my eldest cousin. Perhaps she truly hated my aunt, hated her for letting her die of hunger, living a death worse than life. So she wanted my aunt to pay with the most painful price. Don't think of my eldest cousin as a good person. Since childhood, my grandmother loved him the most, putting all her heart into him. Yet, he just stood by, watching his own mother torment her, watching her die day by day, without speaking a word. Such resentment was enough to destroy an entire family. After my eldest cousin's death, I easily shifted public opinion towards my second uncle and cousin. With the ruthless nature of my eldest cousin, he would surely not let my second uncle's family go. Not long after, he couldn't stand it anymore and took action. After hearing everything, my mother could only sigh, "Karma, it's all karma." A little while later, she asked me, "What about the eldest cousin? Now that he's back, aren't you afraid he'll escape?" I confidently replied, "He won't be able to run." The next day, news of the eldest cousin hanging himself at the land shrine spread throughout the village. I wasn't surprised at all. He was a man of great pride, knowing I had reported him to the police and that it was only a matter of time before he would be exposed. He couldn't bear such shame. Rather than face the villagers' scorn or be punished by the law, he chose to end everything himself. The younger aunt went crazy, fleeing to the city that very night. The eldest aunt truly lost her mind, while the second aunt had long been missing. My mother, because of familial ties, still took care of the funeral arrangements for the eldest cousin. The land my second uncle had chosen for future blessings was now holding the urns for the remains of the eldest cousin. The second uncle, my eldest cousin, and my second cousin. After the funeral, I took my mother to my grandfather's grave. "Mom, let's offer incense to grandmother for her remains. Now she can rest peacefully beside grandfather." My mother knew this was my grandmother's last wish. In my view, my grandmother was silently standing in front of the tomb. The anger on her face faded away, and her gaze towards me and my mother became warm and gentle. I raised my hand and gently waved goodbye. "Grandmother, this time we really have to say goodbye." Her spirit slowly faded away in the morning sunlight. My mother hugged me, her eyes red and swollen. "You've suffered so much all these years." Silent tears rolled down my cheeks. The heavy stone that had been weighing on my heart for so many years was finally lifted. My heart was truly free now. A few months later, we received news from my aunt. It turned out that, in order to buy paper offerings, my aunt and her husband had borrowed over 300,000 yen from private lending organizations. Half of the money was used to buy the paper offerings, while the other half was squandered by her husband. Now the creditors had come knocking, and not only did he refuse to take responsibility, but he also kicked her out of the house, forcing her to bear the entire debt on her own. As for the land clearance due to policy changes, the entire project was indefinitely suspended, and the dream of a life-changing transformation dissipated into thin air. Zhihu became homeless and was relentlessly hunted down by the debt collectors who threatened to kill her. She called my mother, crying uncontrollably, begging for help, saying she was being beaten by the debt collectors, pleading with my mother to save her out of sisterly affection. I didn't say a word, just hung up and blocked the number. Not all who are pitiable deserve pity. Back then, for money, Zhihu was willing to sacrifice my mother. So whatever sisterly bond there was, it had died a long time ago. Zhihu doesn't deserve pity. And thank you all for listening. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to hear more great stories.